Hey there, did you know that a staggering 70% of people participating in religious debates admit to being swayed by emotional tactics rather than logical arguments? That's a huge number, right? It really shows how easily folks can get caught up in the heat of the moment instead of thinking critically about what's being said. So today, we're diving into the world of Christian apologetics. Now, for those who don't know, apologetics is all about defending religious beliefs. But here's the kicker, some apologists use manipulative tactics to bolster their arguments. We're going to unpack that and see how these tactics can mislead people. First off, let's talk about the common manipulative tactics you might encounter in these debates. One of the big ones is the emotional appeal. You've probably seen it, right? Someone shares a personal story that tugs at your heartstrings, and suddenly you're questioning everything. It's a powerful tactic because it bypasses your critical thinking and goes straight for your feelings. Then there are logical fallacies. These are errors in reasoning that can make an argument seem strong when it's really not. For example, the straw man fallacy involves misrepresenting someone's argument to make it easier to attack. Instead of addressing the actual point, they create a distorted version and knock that down. It's sneaky and can definitely mislead people. Lastly, there's the appeal to authority. Just because someone claims to be an expert doesn't mean they're right. Yet, many apologists leverage their credentials to shut down dissent and make their arguments seem unassailable. Essentially, they're saying, "Trust me, I know what I'm talking about," without actually providing solid evidence. Now, let's take a closer look at these tactics in action. One classic example is the emotional appeal used in debates about suffering. An apologist might share a heartbreaking story about someone who found comfort in their faith during a tragedy. While it's a touching narrative, it doesn't really answer the tough questions about why suffering exists in the first place. It's a distraction from the real issues at hand. Another example involves the straw man fallacy. Let's say someone critiques the idea of divine command theory, which suggests that morality comes from God's commands. A typical response from an apologist might be, "So, you think people should just do whatever they want without any moral guidance?" This misrepresents the original argument and makes it easier to defend their position without actually addressing the critique. And finally, the appeal to authority can be found when apologists quote scholars or theologians to back their claims. They might say something like, "Dr. So-and-so, a renowned theologian, agrees with this view." But just because someone has letters after their name doesn't mean they're infallible. Critical thinking requires us to analyze the arguments, not just accept them because of who's presenting them. Now, let's hit a powerful rebuttal to a popular apologetic argument, the moral argument for God's existence. This argument suggests that if God doesn't exist, then objective morality doesn't exist either. But here's the twist, we can have a robust moral framework based on human well-being without invoking a deity. Think about it, many people agree on right and wrong based on empathy, social contracts, and the consequences of actions. Just because someone claims morality comes from God doesn't mean that's the only source. It's crucial to challenge this assumption because it highlights the importance of critical thinking. We can derive ethics from human experience and reason, not just ancient texts or divine commands. To wrap this up, we've explored the manipulative tactics used by some Christian apologists, including emotional appeals, logical fallacies, and appeals to authority. It's essential to recognize these tactics to engage in meaningful discussions and think critically about the arguments presented. So, I want to hear from you. Have you encountered any of these tactics in discussions about religion? Share your experiences in the comments below. And don't forget to check out my other videos for deeper insights into these topics. Let's keep the conversation going.